Guys, welcome back to the Match Chat Podcast with myself, Paul Ciotto, Christopher Shea.
How's it going?
Producer extraordinaire, Peter Oberk. And we have two very special guests today. One guest is a recurring guest on the show, Coach Guy Rossini. And also, we'd like to welcome another friend and Coach Mike Ford.
Hey, guys.
Okay. So, we are revisiting today a topic matter that we hit probably a month or two ago, right?
Yep.
Concerning a situation, an issue at New Fairfield High School and its football program. So some events have taken place, and anyone that wants to or knows about the situation, this has been an ongoing thing for many years, and finally it's come to a head, and one of the parents released a statement, basically because...
Probably last week.
Yeah, it was released on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was released on Saturday, and basically it was,
bringing to light all the stuff that's going on.
All the stuff that went down, more so because, the powers that be and the process failed,
And you know what sucks? I'm a parent of a kid who does sports. My kids happen not to play football, but I had no idea that this stuff was even going on.
Yeah, most people
it's
don't.
Crazy.
Most people don't. I mean, just it comes down to it. So before we begin the dialogue about it, I'm going to read the statement that Jeff Delden put out, on social media. So, bear with me. It's a little long, but I think it's important that the viewers and listeners hear it. Yes,
and
Coach.
again, this is something the school has received for many weeks.
Yes. Everything that you're about to hear on this letter has been documented with the state and the school. There's nothing here that's hearsay. There's nothing here that's emotionally driven. This is a factual narrative. There's nothing here that can't be proved, in one thing. So again, I apologize. It'll be a little long. I had to wear my glasses because I can't see. So again, this was put out on Saturday by Jeff Delden, a parent that was affected by this situation, like many of us were. So it begins. The title: One Parent's Experience. Recently, there have been many unwarranted allegations in the community against myself and some other parents of the class of 2018 New Fairfield High School football team. This article is meant to set the record straight about what I experienced as a parent of a New Fairfield football player of the class of 2018. I truly believe if we do not shed light on the unacceptable actions of this program, and more specifically the coaching staff, the violations will continue, the penalties from the state governing board will increase, the morale and attitudes of the kids will degrade, and the future of the program will take years to recover. While initially I did not want my son to play football, he was recruited to play on the Falcons Pop Warner team in 2010, and fell in love with the game at his very first practice. Throughout these past years, his passion has been playing the sport that he loves so much. He also loves watching it, coaching it, helped coach other Falcon Pop Warner teams in his high school years, and going to any camp or clinic he could find. His primary goal was to play in college at any level with the idea that he wants to take the passion as far as he could. He wanted to find a way to blend the sport he loves with education he desired. In December 2017, my son committed to Ithaca College, where he got a partial scholarship to play football for the Ithaca Bombers, Division III. As a parent, it has been very satisfying to see your child enjoy something so much. More importantly, watching your child use a sport to develop not only his athletic skills, but his life skills. In order to take on the challenges of the world has been the most gratifying process to witness. I was given an article from the Danbury News-Times dated 5/1/18, highlighting the 18 New Fairfield Rebel athletes who were going on to play in college. And 5 of them were from the football team, including my son. Reading the article would make any parent, coach, and school proud of the success of these young men and women. However, the great feeling my wife and I had for our son's accomplishments made us reflect on the challenges he had to endure to get to this place. Specifically, the poor environment he experienced with the New Fairfield football program, its head coach, and the main assistant. During his 4 years in the program, my son and his classmates had to experience nepotism, favoritism, manipulation, and derogatory attacks unbecoming of a head coach. Over the last years, the environment increasingly deteriorated, which resulted in some challenging times, not only for my son, but most of his classmates who played on the team. During that time, there had been several issues with the program, which include the head coach breaking state CAIC rules more than once, 2 years in a row, violations of the New Fairfield Athletic Handbook rules, players going against each other using bullying tactics, and parents making up false accusations about players and their parents, whose only fault was that they dared to speak up about what was going on. For the record, I am a strong advocate of letting the coach run his or her team as a kind of benevolent dictator. I played football at every level of the game except professional, including Division I AA college ball. I believe the coach should be given the right to run the team with no interference from the parents. If players have issues, they need to take it up with their coach, head coach, or position coach, and not let their parents do their lobbying for them. I've always instructed my son that if he feels he should get more playing time, then he needs to ask the coach, what do you need me to do to get on the field more? And then he would need to listen carefully and do the work to get to that level. I believe a coach's job is to put the best players on the field in order to win the game. Winning is always the goal. However, in high school sports, it is the coach's responsibility for the development of all the players in order to get them to make a positive contribution to the team and grow their athletic skills. This is clearly stated in the new Fairfield Athletic Handbook, page number 5. Finally, I believe you have to walk the walk. Over the 4 years my son was involved with the football program, our family volunteered on the Gridiron Board, raised funds for the Gridiron Club, hosted football events at our home, and participated in parent-player events, year-end banquet, pregame dinners, fundraisers, etc. We did these activities not for any self-recognition, but to support the program so it could achieve its goals. Despite all the participation, however, my son's 4 years in the Fairfield football program under this head coach was a profoundly negative experience. Looking objectively at his 4 years, the program, he and his teammates of the class of 2018 were routinely neglected, demeaned, and repeatedly dismissed by the head coach and his main assistant. While this can be construed as one parent's opinion, here are some of the facts that back up my assessment. During the 2016 season, the head coach violated CIAC Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference rules, page number 123, 6-quarter rule, by letting players who played varsity the night before to play the majority of the JV game the next day. The head coach was reported to the CIAC for these violations, and the team was penalized for this negligence. Number 2, the following year, 2017, the same CIAC rules were violated regarding the 6-quarter rule, in which the team and head coach are penalized for the upcoming season. Number 3, the head coach and his main assistant violated the Code of Ethics in the new Fairfield Athletic Handbook, page number 6, by not undertaking an ethical and moral conduct when working with students. This was displayed when the head coach used demeaning and foul language in the locker room when a player was present when describing a meeting with a parent that occurred in November 2016. The head coach violated the duties and the responsibilities of the new Fairfield Athletic Handbook, page number 8, when in February of 2018, he did not properly discipline his players who were undertaking bullying tactics against the class of 2018. Specifically, my son was threatened to leave town by another player. While boys will be boys, it is the head coach's responsibility to take control and discipline his players for improper actions. He was made aware of the situation, and to date, my son has not heard from his former head coach about this matter, or has any player been disciplined to the best of my knowledge. The class of 2018's freshman year only had one full-time head coach when it was promised to have 2 full-time coaches as in years past. This hindered the development of the class of 2018, and the following year the freshman team got 2 full-time coaches as is normal. Sophomore year, 2015, the head coach only allowed 4 sophomores to dress, going against traditional process of all sophomores, juniors, and seniors dressing for all home and away games. While this tactic was changed mid-season, given his previous attitude toward them, the message was understood by the players. During the state championship game in 2015, 8 freshmen were brought up to dress for the game. During the class of 2018 freshman season, none of the players were asked to dress for a varsity game. At the end of 2015, there were 3 to 5 players of the class of 2018 that qualified for a varsity letter as outlined by the new Fairfield Athletic Handbook, page number 6. However, the coach did not recognize these players, as only 1 player from the class of 2018 got a letter for that season. The following year, there were several players of the class of 2019 that were awarded a varsity letter using the same criteria. During the 2016 season, many of the players of the class of 2018 were passed over by the class of 2019 for opportunities to play in varsity games. Players of the class of 2018 were told during the practice week they were going to see playing time on Friday night, only to be ignored during the game. In November 2016, when my son went to speak to the head coach about why he was passed over for playing time in the pom-pom game by a sophomore, who just happened to be his son, my son was screamed at by the head coach and was told never to bring this up again. Finally, the head coach of the football program has yet to congratulate any of the 5 players of class of 2018 who got recruited to play in college. While this is not a violation of any rule, it is most definitely going against the spirit of the duties and responsibilities of an athletic coach, and just another example of the coach's negative attitude toward the class of 2018. During most of my son's playing football at New Fairfield, I was one of those parents that just watched the games, observed what was going on in the field, and kept my opinions to myself. However, after some of the above experiences, and specifically when the head coach inappropriately addressed my son for merely asking about his spot in the team, is where I felt I had to get more involved. Over the last 15 to 16 months, I have met with the coach and his staff, spoke to other coaches in and out of the league, and had discussions with the AD, principal, and the superintendent of the school. My intent of these meetings could be compared to a parent-teacher conference to find out about how a student could improve their skills and grades. However, instead of talking about math and English, the topic was football. The discussions were always centered around how to improve the development of the players, make sure all of the players were given a fair opportunity to develop their football skills, not just a chosen few, and then we had a coach that would adhere to the rules and regulations of the school and the state. I discussed my son's experience as well as the other players in the class of 2018 that had similar experiences, and I encouraged the administration to reach out to these players and families to get their opinions on the events that occurred over the last few years. The result of these meetings was positive, and some action were taken to improve the overall situation. At that point, I was ready to move on, and my hope was that some of these discussions would have a positive impact for the program and future players. Unfortunately, over the last several months, in spite of initial positive dialogue, I have seen the situation become inflamed due to a small group of parents and coaches who are making false assumptions, spreading rumors, and causing animosity in the program, which is hurting the process to improve the program for the betterment of the players. For example, it was relayed to me that allegedly the head coach stated to other coaches and parents that the only reason my son got to play the tight end position in 2017 was that if he didn't play that position, he would sue him, that we would sue him and the school. Wow. Another rumor was spread by a parent with an opposing view, which alleged that my family was suing the school because my son did not get a Division I football scholarship. For the record, these rumors are unequivocally false and have no basis in truth. The individuals who are spreading these rumors are not familiar with the facts and are feeding into typical emotional responses of the uninformed. From my first conversation with the coach and the staff in November 2016 to today, my involvement and interest in improving the situation followed. Prudent steps should only involve meetings and discussions with coaches and the administration. There were never any threats made by myself or anyone else to sue the school. During this process, I welcomed and listened to different opinions from coaches and the administration. However, any rational person would agree that the spreading of false information and baseless rumors only hurts the process of improving the situation. The overall goal of this process was to improve the environment of the Fairfield football program that develops a winning environment on and off the field. Regardless of coaching style, personalities, or on-the-field strategy, the new Fairfield football program needs to be improved where winning and development go hand in hand. Every player needs to know where they stand and more importantly needs to know what they can do to improve in order to achieve their goals on the field. In my experience, the foundation of any great program is where a coach can motivate all the players, not just a chosen few, and develop the individual's athletic skills to help the team achieve its goals. The purpose of this narrative was to present my side of the situation in a clear and rational manner with the intention to improve the environment of the new Fairfield football program. I still believe strongly in allowing our coaches to do their job without any outside interference. However, when the state and school rules are being broken, the program is being penalized. When bullying tactics are used, when a player cannot communicate with his coach without fear of retribution, and when development is not an objective of a coach's program, it is time to speak out to correct the situation. And that's that. Obviously, there's a lot there, and in my opinion, it was very well done. It was perfectly written. It's straight up on the facts. But I think the bigger issue here at hand is that it got to this point. For me, that's what it comes down to, is that it got to this point because over, this is a many-year process.
Well, it sounds like it started in 2016, we're in 2018.
Yes.
What type of resolution has happened?
Well, it started, if you really think about the narrative, it started in their freshman year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when,
But when it was brought to the attention of coaches / administrators.
I mean, there was many things that were brought to their attention.
What's happened?
Well, really, nothing really has happened.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, it's more or less, and if you're an outsider looking in, it seems like it's just business as usual. The only thing that has happened is, as described by Jeff Delden, was these outside attacks by parents, by other people, around that are making, basically, which forced him
false accusations.
Yeah, which forced him to do this. Which forced him to do this because administration had done nothing. It has done nothing. I mean, it's a really
shame on them.
It's a fail.
He's met with the administration multiple times.
Correct. Yes. There's been a process that has happened over the last 2 years.
And by administration, the people out there, who has he met with? Just the principal or other
superintendent, principal, and the athletic director. So
okay, so that sounds like that sounds like it's the coaches and the entire chain of command of people who should have rectified a situation who have not.
Correct. You're 100%.
Shame on you.
So the facts of all the statistics and other things, it is what it is.
Can't dispute it. It happened.
It is what it is.
You had a freshman coach that didn't want to be there. Let's be honest. He didn't want to coach. He was basically, please do it. And then the second coach was pull up the varsity. So it was like,
Right, something
End of the
happened
day.
on the varsity level. They pulled it up. They had
pulled
one
them up.
coach,
So there was-
and so there was a lot of things that could have been done differently on that level.
But it was thought out and done. Let's call it what it is. Don't candy coat it. When you make a decision as a leader, and me being a CEO of my company, okay, and the head coach being a head coach of a team, it all starts and ends with you.
I agree.
So my point is, at the end of the day, you knew darn well that you were.
You
didn't-
were
basically didn't-
putting a handicap, a
but
built-in
you were gonna
handicap
put a Band-Aid on there
to
already,
the freshman team.
and then you pull the other coach up for your own needs at varsity. Okay, when the bottom line is, this class was treated differently, and guess what? And if you knew they needed it, coach, if you have a weak class, what do you need most?
More training.
Coaches.
And coaches.
Well, listen, I think when you had the meeting with we were on speakerphone, and I think you guys were all there. I think the head coach said, "Yeah, I wish I could have done it differently."
This is about what happened with this letter. Okay, what I'm going to say to you about this: Jeff Delton had enough. Other parents had enough. My son, in spite of the negative experience there and the lack of coaching, got recruited by 9 colleges, 1 Division II, and New Fairfield did nothing to help him. We did it on our own. He did it. Dante Williams did it. Every football camp I took him to. Everything we did, and guess what? Senior year, we had a 10-0 season. I want to get back to this because these kids all started all 4 years. It has nothing to do with it.
No.
It has to do with the fact of this nonsense as to why it got to where it is right now. Let's be honest. Okay. You yourself, being on that staff,
Right.
has said it.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that you have said it to him,
Yes.
to them, that you treated this class wrong, you created your own problems with these parents, and now you're paying for it.
They could have, and we all could have communicated with these parents a couple years ago, and this could have been avoided.
Okay. But the point being is, all of these rules were broken. So all that's great, it's hearsay. I could care less, to be perfectly honest.
It's almost like Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State has this good thing, but then
Right, it's gone.
some rules were broken, and guess what?
right.
They're
Right, it's over.
So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that I don't care what sport it is, okay? If you're doing everything correctly and everyone loves you and you're doing all this stuff and you're wonderful, then how did that happen? These aren't things. This isn't hearsay. These are facts. These are not something that it was emotionally driven.
Yeah,
It's been documented
communication
with the
is everything,
state
I mean.
and with the school.
And you're an assistant coach. Did he ever communicate to you about these problems that he was ever having? Did he ever have coaches meeting?
Me personally, I didn't hear any. I mean, me personally, no, I didn't even know this until they came out with the letter that there were parents.
If you're saying,
If he's a good head coach, he should have went up to the guys and said, "Hey, huddle up,
Yeah,
coaches.
we got this
We
problem,
got some problems
issue,
going on here, and this
we
needs
need
to
to
get
address
fixed."
it.
I didn't know any of this until it was brought up. I mean, I knew some of it. because
Well, I believe that.
Paul and I talked about it a little bit, but
here's what they
What do they
did.
want?
And they all, here's what happened. What they did is they decided that they are going to extend this until this class graduated. And the mistake they made was
Was
they
thinking it was
poked the
gonna go
wrong
away.
bears. And you kept slapping and poking these bears and insulting them and disrespecting their children. And I want to put that in point.
Because these are CIAC
See,
rules.
and
that
rules.
were broken.
Thank you. These were so. The bottom line is this: before I continue with that statement, is to everyone out there, if it was your child, how much would you take? How much more would you continue to take when the coaching staff, the administration, from top to bottom, ignored this, and then set a process to meeting after meeting for 2 years. And the reason they did this was because they wanted to push the class out and figured let it just push it out. Graduation day will come and then we don't have to deal with this anymore. Even when the same infractions happened again the following year. So what do you think you did? You infuriated people because you made them feel like they were stupid and that you were not understanding or listening to a word they had to say. So guess what happens?
How about this? Just
Yeah.
more importantly,
Yeah.
you're perpetuating
Yes.
this rule breaking.
Right. You're prepared.
So my kid may have graduated, but from my perspective, I have another child that's still in the New Fairfield School District. He could, when he finally, he's in 8th grade now. When he gets into high school, I don't know if he's going to play football, But if he were to play football, I would just want to make sure that whatever's going on in the class of 2018 or with the football coach /
19,
administration,
20, 21.
I want to make sure it doesn't happen for 19, 20, 21,
Okay.
22, etc.
So let's just say they're aware of all this. They've read it. It's all over. God
Right.
knows, all over
Right.
town, all over the country. And they say, you know what? These are good points. These are mistakes. All right, we're going to have to change it and correct it moving forward. Is that good enough?
Yeah, but
I think so, too.
But when you're told you're going to change it and correct it, and then the same thing happens a year later, how much faith do you have in a system that failed you? Not the first time. I had to sit there in meetings and be told about this was unacceptable behavior, and that we're going to have the meetings with the coaches, and he's going to apologize and do this. Nothing was done because when you, as a head coach, don't think you did anything wrong, even though the proof is there you did it, you're living in the Bizarro World. Let's be frank here. That's what it is, the Bizarro World. So you can run around and say, oh, woe is me, they're picking on me. No, you did this to yourself. You did this to yourselves, and that goes from the previous superintendent to the principal to the athletic director, right to the head coach, because it happened. So everyone can say what they want to say. And then you got coaches on your staff going around talking to people. And I might add that every one of the coaches on your staff has badmouthed the head coach at one time or another in the 4 years I've been there. That's a fact.
But yet,
you know it's a fact.
But yet, no one will admit
No.
to it in front of him.
No, but no one.
That's
No,
like-
again, it's a situation where it's the Bizarro World.
Well, I
so
think-
when you ask that question, well, what do you want? If you would have given something that people could have sunk their teeth into,
Just
then
do
you
the right
do
thing.
the right thing. Or guess what? If you made a mistake, and you know you made mistakes,
Yeah.
and you have infuriated and insulted people, for God's sakes,
Admit it.
the kid got bullied by the head coach's son, and nothing was done about it. So if that was you as a parent, what would you have done? You're like, okay, it's okay. We're gonna allow this. So then you want to know why a letter comes out like this? It's simple. It's very simple. That's the answers to the test. So what I'm trying to say is that if communication, I spoke to a coach last night in New Fairfield, who's a head coach of another sport, and he said to me that when you make a mistake, okay, or if you do something wrong, it is your job to make it right. To go talk to the parents, to make it right, do what you need to do to right the ship. That was never done. Ever. It was, oh, not me, they're picking on me, let me go hide behind administration. Administration rallied around them. And then they want to know why it's not
Here's
going
my
away.
Why would they rally around it? The Fairfield football program doesn't even strike me as like a
No, it's
great. I mean, I don't. Again, I'm not involved in it, but I don't see that. I mean, outside of that 1 year that they did really well, I don't see them super successful. I mean, I may be correct.
It certainly goes in waves like most programs. Yeah.
Well, it's not a program. That's the other problem.
Well, here's
Well,
a
that's not that.
here's a
bad.
parallel example.
Stand.
That's not.
Here's a parallel example. A very prominent coach in another league. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago.
Right.
They were in a game. He's on a state championship run. Everybody knows it. He's on a championship run. During the game, he slapped the kid upside his helmet because he wasn't focusing on him. Right? And we all grew up with that.
Yeah,
What's the
That's the
I got
What's the
stepped
problem?
on.
Well,
You got cigarettes put out on
Stepped
this.
on, yeah.
here's the
Cigarettes.
example. Here's the example. A week later, after the investigation, he was suspended for a week and a game. End of story. Was not.
So there was an action and
was
then
an
there was
action,
a reaction.
and there was a
He said
reaction.
there was a mistake, and a mistake he did, and
No, it just they meted out the rules. They executed the rules. He accepted the rules,
Right.
and everybody moved on. The kid was on the team. The kid, pleaded with them. No, that's my coach. He's the best. But again, he did something today. When we grew up, it was common.
Yeah.
Common.
That's how practice.
Well, we were raised that way.
Right,
So
but
it's no big deal.
it wasn't dragged out for a month, 2 months, 6 months. And
2 years.
This is what exacerbates the whole thing.
correct.
This is what boils it to the top.
That's
And it goes on. And again, we're just talking about because a parent finally wrote something, okay? And I've heard, and I can't verify it. I can't, but I've heard, some of these similar things happen throughout year after year, different situations, but some of the same stuff. So there's been
It's a pattern.
the pattern, and then what really shocked me was somebody from a previous town that he coached at.
Yes.
I read that.
I read the post.
Some of the same similar situations.
Yeah.
So there's not just a pattern here in New Fairfield. There's a pattern with this guy's coaching technique to begin with, is what it sounds like.
You had someone that got the post and then shared it and made a comment about he did this with the same behavior. That when isn't it funny that he had to go find a place an hour away to go coach? And this is what it's on social media. You can read it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but you don't make this up. That's the point. And to your point, it's the most important part of it. 2 years. This isn't rocket science. It's very simple. In how the business world works, okay, or any type of leadership. If you make a mistake, okay, you've got two choices. If I'm your boss or vice versa, we've got two choices. The first choice is you're going to apologize, you're going to make right, you're going to do everything that you need to do to fix this, okay?
Or you get fired.
Thank you. That's the other choice. If you don't take choice A, choice B is you're not here.
So I got a question for everybody on the poll now. Then.
Okay.
Do we think that what the violations that were caused deem this guy being fired? I say yes.
Should have been.
Somebody goes, oh, well, he's an ex. Doesn't matter how good his winning record is.
Yeah, but it's not
if he's breaking laws.
So you have to fire everybody then.
Yeah. Is it all breaking laws?
No, what you're saying is you want to fire the head coach, and this has been going on for 2 years. You keep saying, and everybody knows about it. And
Well, hold on. We're not keep saying it's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a
Okay,
fact.
so it's not like we're saying that. We're
So-
just bringing up what the
so
fact
you want to
is.
say here are the facts. We're going through it for 2 years. So now we have to get rid of the principal. We have to get rid of the
Yeah.
Listen,
we got to get rid of the
I don't
superintendent.
disagree
I'm
with what
saying-
you're saying, but
we gotta get rid of
I'm
the-
saying,
I'm just-
I'm saying
I'm
the
trying-
coach
now-
needs to be
now you-
fired, and the principal, AD, and the other ones need to be reprimanded by
Notice,
somebody.
put out notice.
Somebody.
Exactly. Yes.
Otherwise, guess what happens? You run amok.
Right.
And
There's no accountability.
Yeah.
and just to
Think,
clarify,
think about it like this. Paterno got in trouble.
Well-
He didn't actually do any of the bad shit, but guess what? It was under his command.
Well-
So you know what? The
Yeah.
principal's held responsible.
'Cause he
The
knew what was
administration's
going on.
held responsible. The AD's held responsible, and Feta gets fired.
he did a violation 1 year, okay, was warned, right? Correct?
Warned and allegedly
Warned,
punished for it.
some punishment
Yeah.
was
Who
meted
knows?
out. We know
Not
we-
allowed. You're not allowed to tell you.
Right. And then did it again the following year.
You don't pick and choose shit until somebody puts that gun to
To
your
your
head,
head.
and now you don't have a choice. Oh, really? Okay, now I guess I'm going to have to go and find what's
And
wrong.
everybody asks the question.
If it was just corrected in the beginning,
Right.
none of this happens.
None of this happens.
That's why I'm saying now the administration, the principal, and the AD are at fault. Listen, Feta messed up. That's okay. People mess up.
Right.
If it was corrected right there,
Right.
it ends.
It ends.
But it wasn't. And then he was like this, well, shoot, I'm untouchable. I can do whatever I want. I ain't going to have any consequences. Guess what I would do? I would have 12 players and my best players were breaking every freaking rule just because I want to win games.
Yeah.
But guess what? If that's not, I think, and trust me when I tell you, I'm about the W. Make no mistake, second place is the first fucking loser.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
We throw second place medals and trophies in the garbage because they mean shit. I'm about winning. And until somebody calls me out on my bullshit, I'm going to cheat, fucking lie, and steal to try and win. But guess what? The minute you call me out on my bullshit, you got to say,
Take the consequences.
all right.
At the end of the day, this is what happened. And the fact of the matter is, because to Chris's point, because I don't need to repeat it, nothing was done about it. And don't let me get into the fact, okay, about how your own coaches went around talking and instigating to parents, okay? Your new Gridiron Club president went and sent an email out calling the families and kids liars about what happened, okay? That the principal got a copy of that email. And his words to me were, this is no good. This is bad. This is bad. Those were his words. So the bottom line is, I don't have you here to paint a picture of, well, what are we doing with it? You know damn well what happened. You went through it.
Right.
You went through it with your own child
So
to a degree. But my point is this narrative is based on facts. So when you ask, what do we do about it?
What?
What do you mean, what do we do about it? You tell me, what do you do? You let him stay? Or you let the staff stay? When you're all to blame. Because all of you, for the exception of Greg Schwartz, who's the only one who stepped up and said, I made a mistake. I saw the signs. Okay? I don't want any kid feeling that way. I should have did something, and you have my word, I'm going to fix it. And he's the only one that did it as it pertained to my son. He made a point to call me after the initial meeting and say, I'm not calling you as a coach, I'm not calling you as a teacher. I probably would have been advised not to call you at all. But I'm calling you as a dad.
Yeah.
And if I was you, I'd have done the exact same thing. I saw exactly what you're talking about and everything else. And we're not even talking about what happened with my kid, okay? But that's what should have taken place with the situation with Jeff Deldon's son. If you want to get real, he should have been the quarterback. I love the other kid. He should have been the quarterback, and it would have been a different story. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
It's what it is.
I'm not, listen, if you choose to play politics, I don't play politics. That's my point. We don't play politics, because when we played which we did, we played politics for 2 years.
Look where it got you.
For 2 years. And the bottom line is, all of you on that staff has bad-mouthed and degraded his ability as a coach. Every one of you, personally to my face, and nobody does it. Nobody did a thing about it.
Bottom line,
Communication.
with stuff like that, it hurts the whole program. It just doesn't hurt one kid. I mean, the kid takes the brunt of it, but it affects the whole program. It puts a disease on it. All right, and from what I'm hearing, this isn't stopping. This is continuing.
Forget this podcast right now. This is my only concern. If this program doesn't get changed, this behavior is just going to perpetuate.
Yeah, it's
and then more
perpetuating.
importantly, I'll tell you what happens. Do you want to know when someone's going to suffer? Someone's going to suffer when enough people complain to SEAC, whatever they're called, and they come in and they shut down the new Fairfield program. Because they're going to eventually, when an investigation is done, and I'm assuming if it doesn't change, that's where we're headed.
Right.
They're going to come in and they're going to say, okay, there was a failure at the coaching staff. There was a failure at the administration. Over multiple years, you guys are done. And then, you think there's a little upheaval right now when New Fairfield football team no longer is allowed to, or let's say they're suspended for a year or 2 years, whatever it is.
5-year suspension.
5-year suspension. Now you're really going to have upheaval. And then you're going to really see the people coming out saying, at FADA, at the administration, they're going to be doing exactly what is going on here, but at a much bigger level, because guess what? Now their kid who wanted to play, who wasn't taken up by this whole experience, are going to get screwed for 5 years for not being able to play.
Now there's no team.
And now there's no team.
Now they got to go to prep school.
And we're talking one or two kids.
So this should be handled right now, why it's just a handful of parents that have been involved. Wait till the entire town and 5 years worth of parents are pissed off that their little Johnny's not going to get his scholarship, is not going to get his money, because he can't play football, and that's his #1 sport, and that's what they're trying to get. Then you're really going to see problems.
Well, listen, New Fairfield still has a blue-collar base, but there are people that have finances that move their kids out. And since I've been here, the rate is going up. It's not going down.
They're moving out.
Well, here's the question then.
really don't.
Should something be done? You can't do this.
No.
You can't go like this and say, I don't know. Should something be done?
Sure, shit. You can change it. You got to change it. But this is the fact. You got to do something.
You got one program in
It's
town.
not.
It's a lacrosse program.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
you got a
man-
head coach
it's
for
a
the
one-man
lacrosse
show.
program, because you know what?
It's a one-man
He's a
show.
dictator, and basically here's the bottom line between him and the other guy. He wins, the other guy doesn't, and he doesn't break rules. So he can do whatever he
And
wants.
he's got lacrosse coaches everywhere.
Yeah, and he's got a network of
He's got a lot of dads buying into it.
The kids will buy into it. You just want a state championship. Why? Listen, that culture is the reason why your football program, your football team, I should say, suffers. Because they're playing lacrosse all year round, and they bought into winning.
You're allowed to go.
I am not admitting that lacrosse is my thing,
Right.
but I respect the hell out of what they've done.
Oh, yeah. Listen,
I respect the hell out of that.
There's a lot of
because of what's
athletes
done.
who aren't in the gym getting ready for football.
Well, 'cause
it's
they're
too
not
late. Look at
football
my leg, right?
players.
Now that he's done. He's got.
Well, that's my
He's got
point.
3 weeks now to put on 15
It's not
pounds.
happening. It's impossible.
So to his point, but I know where his bread and butter is.
I still want to. I got to circle back to the original topic.
Go back to the culture.
What is going to happen with this group of individuals who've broken laws or ignored the broken laws?
Acknowledging you're not breaking the laws anymore. You have to follow protocol.
2 years.
You're right. You're right. Nobody's disputing that.
2 years.
It's facts.
Yeah, 2 years.
But you gotta understand what you did wrong as an administration. You sit down.
How about what about an apology, maybe?
What about the experience of the kids?
Or how about just, hey, dude,
Hey, listen.
You've got to your. I want to just comment on that, and to you, all three you just made very poignant. You have 5 kids who will never, ever go back to New Fairfield until that regime is gone. Okay? They don't have a nice thing to say. They don't have anything good to say. They have nothing positive to say because what they went through for 4 years was not. And then at the end of the day, as per Jeff Delton's letter, you don't even have enough courage or self-respect as a man or a coach, regardless of what might be going on, to congratulate those kids that are going to the next level. So there is a huge disconnect there, which has something to do outside of football. Okay, so the bottom line is poor behavior is poor behavior. If you have poor behavior as a human being, you're going to have poor behavior in whatever you do. If I operated like that in my professional life, I'd be done. You embrace. So what happens is New Fairfield embraces the term of insanity. And what's insanity, Coach?
Trying to
do the same thing over and over again, get the same result.
And thinking of
a different result.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
So the half step and the where has that gotten you now? So then you want to know, and then it doesn't help on top of the fact that all of this circle of people that perpetuated this and made it worse because they didn't know the facts until they were released, okay, went out and created a greater firestorm, okay? Your gridiron club, parents, are you crazy? And then you want to know why now a letter had to be written? Because when you've had handcuffs put on you and you follow every protocol, okay, you don't cause a stink, you don't start trouble, you don't say anything, you don't get involved in the season, you let it play out, and you keep presenting fact after fact after fact, and then nothing's done, and things still continue right up before that class is graduating, and then you want to say, what do you do about it?
So the thing is there's no avenue to complain. There's no avenue to say, listen, you...
No. There is an avenue. It's
Right.
called the administration. It just doesn't get
fair.
realized.
Right,
Yeah.
it's fair. But what I'm saying is, I'm talking
Go
about...
match at.
Yeah.
Listen, you guys are competitive guys. There's competitive parents that have played sports. Why can't they communicate where they want their program instead of being told where their program is? Meaning, do we do things? Are we advancing equally to the towns that we're playing?
Correct.
Are we doing the off-season things? Are we doing the football things?
Correct.
Are we doing the coaching things? One thing I've learned up here is everybody complains about a problem, but rarely do anything about it.
They don't.
Okay?
Sure.
Right? And then the ones that do, you can see the difference in those kids, right? And that's the thing that bothers me absolutely the most, is these kids don't get a chance to fulfill all their abilities.
When I had to sit in a meeting and be told by the principal, well, in your family, Dr. Ciotto, I know that the standard is here for everything. And he did this, stood up and did this. And getting everyone ready for the next level. I'm not interested in that here. Because I know what you want to do, I'm not interested in that here. And to Mike's credit, Mike said it many years to me. He goes, Paul, they don't give a shit here. He said it. I'll give him credit, because you did say it to me.
And watch this, when the administration...
Yeah, and let me just finish the point. So he goes, and he says it to me.
From an administration standpoint.
And he goes, you know, if you're talking about academics, you might have my attention.
Absolutely,
But
exactly.
All about
bottom line
academics,
is, but to
fair.
Coach Rossini's point, you look at the big FCAC schools, it all goes hand in hand. Athletics and scholastics are one-on-one. And any administration that understands that, that's why those kids go to Duke.
But watch
go to
this.
Notre
We
Dame.
can talk about
Yeah.
this all day long.
we really could.
When the administration says to me, I only care about academics, watch this. I don't get mad. Because I'm going to take my kid and do what it takes to be
Well,
best.
that's my-
But and this is the undisputable fact, if laws are being broken,
Thank you.
they can't say, I don't care what you do here.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do here.
You're
I don't
right.
care about sports. I don't care about academics. Watch this. If laws are being broken, there has to be a consequence.
Okay, he'll be still walking around.
Fairfield's
Yeah.
reputation as a town, as it pertains to its people, its sports, and boards of education, is horrible. And it's specifically because of this shit. Because of an example like this.
There's no accountability.
There's no accountability. To your point, if I had to do it all over again, would have never moved to the town.
Right.
God is my witness. You and I have talked about that. Would have never came here. Okay? Our little guys aren't going to school there. They're going to go wrestle and go to school someplace else.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
My daughter is done in New Fairfield.
She's already gone.
Out. And that decision was made when that principal said that to me. Because I'm not raising losers in my house. So we're out. She's going to Catholic school. We're done. So even more so, I have no attachment to it anymore. The only attachment I have is as a taxpayer. But don't think for a second that it doesn't run deep. Because I'm going to repeat this again about the parents and people that were affected by this situation to the people out there in social media land. You need to look yourself in the mirror and you need to say, if it was your child and there was a 2 to 4 year basically
Dismissal.
a dismissal, but a 2 to 4 year backdrop that brought it to this with fact after fact after fact, you have to commend those parents for being as patient to get kicked in their ass for nothing. And then you want to know...
Because still nothing was done.
So then you want to know, why did this letter come out? Because he had no choice. He had no choice, because when you follow the rules, and you follow the protocols, and still nothing is done, okay?
You get the letter.
You got to get it out and let people... Especially when you're being attacked by other people and your credibility is being attacked. You don't know the facts. Well, here are the facts. And everything in that narrative is a fact. It's on record with the school or the state, depending on what the infraction was. I was stopped in the middle of town.
Are they real from people that
Yeah, I was stopped in town by a person who I have no idea who this person was. And I was said to my face, you and Jeff Delden are well-to-do. Why don't you just pull him out of here? What's all this problem? Why all these? What are you doing? You guys are wealthy. Yeah.
What's that got to do with
What's that got to do with anything? So my point is, so you want to know why this perpetuates? You be standing in a town where I only really sleep. We don't get involved in that stuff. We sleep there, and I'm about my business, my family, my
I don't even
business
sleep
school.
there right now.
Yeah, but my point is, But my point is,
Another week I will.
so tell me, how do you handle that?
Yeah.
Because if you know anything about my personality, I was really good about it. So then what happens? You get a guy like Jeff Delden whose kid was bullied. Okay. Bullied by another player on the team who happened to be the head coach's son.
I'll tell you how I feel. I acknowledge it, admit it. How can we fix it? Let's move on. Let's get ready for the season.
That's the right answer.
That's my.
Let's hope that the administration and the coaching staff see
Let's
that
just
also.
hope they see it and they learn from it, and then they can say, what can we do differently to make this better?
In conclusion, I think in order for a program to get better, these things need to be addressed, fixed, and then we move forward. As far as the administration, listen, I've watched a baseball program since a specific coach took it over, and he's elevated it tenfold. Okay, my son played for a lacrosse coach when he first started, and I've seen that grow tenfold. The other basketball seems to be floundering. I feel football's floundering because I get to coach these kids at the youth level and see some of these kids progress and they have a lot of potential to succeed, and they're playing these towns, these local towns that they play at the high school level, and things seem to change when it gets to the high school level. And that's, this stuff here, that's not even a question. Yeah. Like I just said, a prominent coach, bigger than our coach, 4 state championships. It was dealt with within a week, and he was suspended for a week and a game.
I feel like the administration definitely dropped the ball,
Yeah.
and they're the ones who need to be held accountable, and then they need to issue whatever sanctions / penalties need to be brought on to the people who committed the...
Again, it's not about Switzerland here. It's about what you can prove and what you can't prove. And what we read today at the beginning of the podcast are facts. Most importantly, that's what this is about. The other stuff is, just meat and potatoes to what's going on to it. But at the end of the day, when you ask, how it gets to this point, I think we described that today. It got to this point because of a failure from the top down.
Yep.
And the perpetuating of the same failure over and over. It's like going and robbing a bank and getting caught every time. It's the guy robbing the bank. That's what this is about. And that's why that letter had to be written, because, when the same guy's robbing the bank over and over again and you're just letting him go, you feel helpless. And you're like, you know what? And then when the negative backlash because of people that do support him, and it's a minority, but it's enough because the town's so small, where now you're being attacked and your credibility is being attacked as a man, as a professional, whatever the case may be, you have to release that. So in closing, for me, it's like, to the head coach, the staff, to the administration, look yourselves in the mirror and think, how well did you handle this situation? Did you really do what was necessary to do
To protect the kids involved.
And to make and not let something like this happen?
Don't let it happen again.
Because if you think you did, then God bless you. Because, I can tell you that the result would have been completely different. The result would have been completely different, and it's not something that's going to go away. There's certain situations in life, in this particular one, because kids are involved, that things have to be made whole. Now, life, you're not always made whole, but there's certain instances where you have to be made whole because the facts dictate so. So my advice to anybody, all parties involved, is you got to make things whole. Otherwise, this is going nowhere. That I can tell you. This is going to just keep going and going and going. Because in life, you have to, again, sometimes you poke the wrong bears. And those bears have nothing but time, patience, and resources to continue the battle, especially when it's a righteous one. And the facts are the facts. So with that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. The Matt Chat Podcast with myself, Paul Ciotto, Christopher Shea, Peter Olberg, Coach Guy Rossini, Coach Mike Ford. Thanks for coming, guys.